Discipline used to feel like progress. Now it often feels like effort. Not because I don't know what to do, not because I'm constantly failing, but because saying no over and over again is mentally exhausting. If you're in a phase where your finances are technically under control, but you feel tired all the time when it comes to money decisions, this episode is for you. This is not about spending rules, it's not about budgeting systems, and it's not about motivation. This is about reducing the mental cost of discipline, so it becomes sustainable instead of draining. At a certain point in your journey, discipline stops being impressive. You already know how to say no. You already know what you should and shouldn't buy. You already have awareness. Yet somehow, money still feels heavy. Not financially heavy, mentally heavy. Because discipline isn't just about money, it's about attention. Every time you see something you could buy, every time a thought pops up like, maybe this is fine, every time you reevaluate a decision you've already made, you spend mental energy. And the problem isn't that you're bad at discipline. The problem is that you're using it too often. Saying no once is easy. Saying no 10 times a day is not. Most of the fatigue doesn't come from big purchases. It comes from small, repeated decisions. Little moments like adding something to a basket just to see, browsing without intention, revisiting purchases you already decided against, negotiating with yourself again and again. Each moment feels insignificant, but together they drain you. Discipline becomes a background noise in your head, always present, always demanding attention. And over time, even strong discipline starts to feel fragile. We often praise people for holding the line. But holding the line requires effort. It requires vigilance. It requires checking yourself. It requires resisting impulses repeatedly. And that resistance costs something. Not money, energy. If you rely on restraint alone, you are constantly defending your finances. And defense is tiring. The longer you stay in that mode, the more likely you are to slip. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired of caring all the time. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. The goal is not stronger restraint. The goal is fewer moments that require restraint. Instead of asking, "Can I say no again?" the better question becomes, "Why am I still needing to decide this?" When something keeps testing your discipline, it's usually because the decision was never fully settled. You didn't decide once. You left the door open, and open doors demand constant attention. Practically, this means I try to eliminate repeated decision points, not by willpower, by structure. For example, if something isn't a priority right now, I don't keep revisiting it. I don't just browse. I don't keep items lingering in baskets. I don't mentally rehearse future purchases. Not because those things are evil, but because they create friction. Every time I look, I'm tempted to reconsider. Every reconsideration costs energy. So instead of saying no repeatedly, I aim to not need to say no at all. The decision has already been made. When you reduce decision points, something interesting happens. Discipline becomes quieter. You don't feel like you're constantly being good. You don't feel like you're fighting yourself. There's less inner dialogue, less negotiation, less tension. Not because you're stricter, but because fewer things are asking for permission. This is where discipline stops feeling like restraint and starts feeling like alignment. You're not resisting your life. You're shaping it. One of the biggest mistakes we make is thinking discipline is about repetition, but repetition is exhausting. The real leverage, comes from consolidation. One clear decision up front is worth more than 50 moments of restraint later. That's why saying no more often feels harder than expected. Holding the line feels draining. Discipline feels heavy even when you're doing well. It's not the discipline that's broken, it's the system around it. In real life, this means fewer open-ended, maybe later decisions, fewer unresolved wants floating around, fewer moments where discipline has to step in. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be efficient. Protecting your energy matters because discipline that drains you will eventually betray you. If discipline feels hard right now, don't assume you're doing something wrong. Ask instead, how many times am I asking myself to decide the same thing? The answer might explain the fatigue. You don't need more strength. You need fewer battles. I'm JP, and I'll see you in the next one.